So even if you have title deeds, you can't really access the equity in your residential house because the residential mortgage market is pretty much dead in Zim. And that's quite frustrating.
We paid monthly installments to the developer, but after completion, the amenities were not there. We had to go to court.
Affordable quality housing is one of Africa's biggest socio-economic challenges. The majority of people who call the continent home cannot attain a decent structure to affirm this. Long perceived as a humanitarian topic, smart governments are now insisting on a context of commercial viability. There is an official housing backlog of over 1.5 million homes in Zimbabwe. That is where commercial property opportunity begins. Investors in real estate and property development should seek out the right indicators for guidance. The sector is currently full of contradictions, nuanced from elsewhere in the region. Completed developments struggle to sell out fast enough to recoup capital outlay, yet similar standard new developments are overwhelmed with demand. Financing products such as mortgages and home equity loans are insignificant, yet the building materials subsector is highly competitive, with liquid consumers buying direct retail. Lastly, property is a good store of value, yet it is a low-yield investment due to maintenance costs and a lack of competitive tenants. These contradictions aren't hard to figure out. One must understand the backdrop of past regulation and the prospective reforms policymakers are taking moving forward. The housing market in an economy is typically segmented into three niche segments: low-income homes, middle-income, and upper-income. In Zimbabwe, the low-income housing segment has been displaced by the proliferation of informal housing settlements surrounding metropolitan areas. This is squarely attributable to the mismanagement of town councils and deviance from construction legislation. A starting point in understanding this background was a stern conversation with Minister of State for Harare Province, Honorable Oliver Chidao.
This issue of quick gain that probably gotten our people to sell or get into land which was available and start to redistribute it or distribute it, selling it illegally, people passing land without services, they now understand. And we've all agreed that, no, I think let's draw a line. What happened, happened. Let's regularize. Let's stop illegal activities. Those who now want to continue, they'll face the wrath of the law.
The demise of the low-income housing market came about because of unfair competition from informal settlements. These illegal settlements are physically comparable to dilapidated, low-income suburbs that have not had maintenance and service provision from councils. With the development of settlements like Epworth in the 1990s and Caledonia sprouting in the last decade, housing finance products such as mortgages and home equity lending have become redundant. Building societies that target this segment have suffered the most. The business model is constrained and extremely high risk. Low-income housing units compliant with construction and zoning laws cannot compete to attract buyers. Correspondingly, it is difficult to mobilize capital to this segment. Informal settlements collapse the price competitiveness of housing and that of the long-term tenure of loans. For instance, the 10% deposit payment asked for legal housing tends to be greater than the entire cost to buy and complete an illegal substandard unit. The capital outlay to build formal units is financed by members' deposits, And only 2 building societies in the country account for over 85% of all deposits. These 2 building societies are at the market extremes of being backed by central government and the highest capitalized private insurance company. Commercial banks have not bothered to take the risk into this segment altogether. Mortgages for low-income housing make up less than 2% of entire banking sector loans. To reform this segment, central government authorities are working to regularize these settlements.
So the areas that have been settled, we are now tasked to put up plans to ensure that, in fact, the plans were there. It's not that it wasn't planned. It's that people became greedy. The physical planning had laid it down. So, but there were others who probably went into excesses. They went beyond board. So we are trying to get that sorted out.
Many of these low-income settlements are becoming titled as recognized townships. Caledonia, for example, has recently been placed under a joint committee of 3 districts. As metropolitan authorities settle their spatial planning and start to enforce construction legislation, more competition and capital shall be targeted to the low-income housing segment, yielding dividends.
It must be known that we are not going to be growing Harare wide and wide and bring in other adjacent areas which are around us. Harare boundaries are not going to change. Right? That's number one. For the areas we are going to grow, we are going to intensify.
Rural to urban migration has been consequential. A majority of citizens have integrated into historically affluent suburbs that they could not get into. Densification is the new outlook of the middle to upper income segment. Subdivision of 2-acre yards into garden flats, townhouses, or multi-story for compact mansions have become favorable tastes. Densification has created opportunity for supportive infrastructure, power, security, landscaping, sanitation, and waste collection. City and town authorities have been allocated up to $100 million by central government in 2022 to finance independent contractors. This is part of a more long-term Zimbabwe infrastructure investment program.
So garbage again should not be a big problem too. Worldwide now there are solutions on garbage. In fact, those who collect garbage must end up either generating power or paying the city for the opportunity to do business in the city. So we are moving that way. So if your power is there, your water is there, what is left? It is your infrastructure, which is your roads. And then that's what I've already alluded to that we need our roads done. From a central government point of view, government has supported getting the roads back, but we now need at the center of the city to improve on our treasury management, to ensure city management that if people pay rates, the rates are applied for their upkeep.
Where town council reforms are a step behind, developers of upscale housing such as West Property are investing in ring-fence alternatives desired by home buyers immediately.
We are very much so trying to be ahead of what is actually available in the market. So in terms of water, city water cannot be a guaranteed source of continuous water supply. So we have backup water. And in our backup water, we've got like solar pumps so that there's a continuous provision of water when there's no ZESA. In terms of things like geyser, we provide or we install solar geysers so that you're guaranteed that you have hot water in your development. We have incorporated solar lights to all our exterior lighting. We also encourage clients to also tap into the inverter system where you have a backup battery power so that when there's ZESA, you are able to charge your battery and then you can have power when there's no ZESA. We also have looked into supply of solar energy by putting solar panels, especially at our Millennium Heights development. Our roofing structure is such that it's hidden. That way we can install solar panels without them being actually seen by the naked eye because it's within the roof line, so that we can be able to supply solar power to our clientele. We've also looked at LPG gas, where we supply mass LPG gas. We have maybe a 10-tank sunk into the ground and then reticulated to each unit. And obviously a prepaid model where you'll be paying for the usage of that gas system. And that gas system can allow you to use for cooking, can allow you to use for heating, can even allow you to use it for...
A competitive edge for sharp developers is willingness to manage developments long term, as opposed to seeking early exit. Home buyers want to see continuous maintenance and upkeep of communities. Too often, recent housing developments have disintegrated soon after completion. This is why numerous developments are failing to sell out when completed. Potential home buyers see shabby surroundings in landscaping, lighting, security, and roads. Home buyers are willing to pay a premium for new developments that promise surrounding upkeep.
Pokogara, we finished the servicing many years ago. We got compliance for the roads and stormwater drain, which allows you to start building about 4 or 5 years ago. Cost us about $2 million of services, right? We put that in. It was very frustrating, very drawn out. The city gave us lots of problems. Lots of other stakeholders had problems. EMA had problems. We had EIA problems. I don't want to go through that history. It's all history now. It's water under the bridge. But it took a long time. It took much longer than it should have. Anyway, we get compliance about 5 years ago. We start building the houses. We are still today putting in the paving so people can run around the estate. We've fully sold out of Pokogara. There's no more stands available. We've fully sold out of the townhouses that we built, the first 21. We're on phase 2 now. We're building 70 new ones, and that's it. Pokogara is finished. But we still are today investing in that development. Recently, we upgraded the entrance for a cost of about $70,000 to make it look better for the residents. Right now, we're investing $100,000 in a new boundary wall and fence around the whole property.
Due to rampant deviance of zoning and construction permits, many home buyers have become skeptical of developers. There has been instances where eviction notices from town councils have been handed to home buyers well after construction.
We always say to environment, to EMA, please can you publish your map? We want to know which area sensitive, which area we cannot touch. We actually will be not only protect this area as a developer, we will be improving this area. And for example, like Pokogara, there is some small corridor, where is we call wetlands, but it's sensitive area. We said we will protect this area, we will make beautiful park, and we will improve. And this is our focus. We're not damaging. And that's our position, how to deal with the challenges, basically.
We do invite people to come, check our records, check our title deeds, check our certificate of compliance, and they can take the number, take it to the relevant authorities, EMA, for example, City of Harare, Surveyor General, Attorney General for the deeds office, and get the feedback or confirm whether these are legal or not legal.
So we are working every day to be reliable and trustworthy. In fact, one of the mechanisms that we've put in place is no longer to use external conveyances to transfer properties, because there were such delays coming out of the deeds office that it was taking more than a year to get someone their title deeds transferred to them. We now have our own internal lawyer, who's our legal manager, to be able to effect transfers. And we are effecting them within weeks. Within a month, we can transfer properties to people. So this is one of the ways that we've become trusted and reliable, because when someone buys a property and pays you for it, they expect to get title. And if there's a delay in transferring title, is it the developer's fault or is it the lawyer's fault? Who knows? But at the end of the day, we as a company believe it's part of our mission, not just to sell someone a stand and run away. Our mission is to sell someone a stand, make sure that it's transferred to them. In fact, we invite them to our office, and if they allow us, we take photos and we post it, or we give them a gift thanking them, and we hand over the title deeds to them. That's when the customer journey for us is completed. In the case of a finished house or building, it's not when we hand over the keys to the house or the flat to the buyer. It's when we finish the environment around the house.
The insistence on title deeds also reflect the fact that middle to upper income developments are a preference for home buyers and not tenants in the rental market. It is rare for upwardly mobile families in Zimbabwe to rent for more than several years without desiring ownership. The sheer demand and liquidity of home buyers looking for these very scarce upscale homes is why credit, in the form of mortgages, is not a competitive financing option. Activity in the middle to upper income segments has been concentrated in Harare province. Economic opportunities, whether professional, entrepreneurial, or administrative, have been disproportionate to that province. House prices are accordingly high. The new policy of devolution by central government intends to open more economic vibrancy nationwide. This will foreseeably ease average prices as demand is distributed more evenly across the country. Developers also await keenly to expand outward into provinces such as Masvingo and Manicaland. A growing opportunity has been the material suppliers subsector of real estate. It is just as fragmented as the home buying sector as well. Upper scale home buyers demand quality material that complement regional and world-class standards. The low-income end demand utility and affordable materials simply essential to the stability of their homes. This has created niches that range from upscale hardware stores to a proliferation of SME retailers. It is important to note that the material supplies subsector in Zimbabwe has been mostly about competing in retail operations. A more universal building material that crosses through the lower end to high-end home buyers is brick. Distinct from other material supplies, competition is based on production operations and investment. Beta Holdings has penetrated significant market share.
So for us, we see that space is a very exciting space. It's a space that has got a lot of leg to go. It's got a lot of traction. And we believe that there are two things that you require in order to be competitive in that space. One is the ability to convert local raw materials into finished products at the lowest possible cost. So you'll find that in our operations, that's what we are looking at. We are offering world-class products at low cost, but using best technology and deploying the necessary skilled labor to combine those things to convert what essentially are local materials available to make them into finished products for use by the market.
You know, Zimbabwe right now, because of rural to urban migration and because of colonial issues, legacy issues, we currently are sitting on a housing backlog of anything between 1.3 million to 2 million houses. And that backlog is growing annually. If you also look at the mortgage lending space, sadly in Zimbabwe, that space has been declining over the years. We're looking from, I think in 2019, something like 11,500 houses that were on a mortgage scheme to about 8,000 now. So really what that means is that the onus is on individuals to build their own houses and to do so in an economic way. And our mandate as a company is to also then look at social housing, look at the housing demand and say, how do we provide affordable, quality, relevant products that allow people to meet their desire and their wish to become homeowners?
To meet year-round demand, Beta Bricks has responded by investing in a new state-of-the-art brick factory.
So when it rains or when the seasons change, this affects our production in terms of how fast we can turn around our product. However, we are aware of that, and we are currently in the process of now setting up an all-weather plant in Melfort, which should change the way we do business significantly and address some of the issues that have been faced by our customers around the seasonality demand, especially during the rainy season. So in Mount Hamden, we have a clay bricks factory, but that is currently using older technology. We have now identified land, and we have made a lot of inroads into acquiring a plant which will probably be the biggest clay brick plant in Southern Africa. And this will use all-weather technology, meaning that regardless of the seasons, we'll be able to maintain the same volumes of production throughout. And this should help alleviate the delays, some of the lead times that customers currently face in accessing bricks in Zimbabwe.
Not only has Beta been incentivized by efficiency to meet demand, it has also been guided by shifting production expectations in what has traditionally been an environmentally consequential sector.
That also informs what we need to do. We're looking at innovation, we're looking at technology. We don't operate in a vacuum. There are new technologies, even in the building space. I'm sure alternative building technologies are starting to come to the fore. And we would be amiss as a company if we did not respond also to those factors that are in the larger environment. We believe that we don't operate on an island, and we therefore take our learning experience very seriously. Where we can learn from others, we will learn. Sometimes, I'm sure, as Steve Jobs says, sometimes customers don't even know what they want. So we also, whilst we listen to the customer, we also take the view that sometimes we also have to leapfrog development, and therefore our R&D and our R&I is a key and significant part of our research process and how we then come to a market with new products.
Initially known for its Beta Bricks line in the market, Beta Holdings has diversified into other material complementary of its production advantages.
And we've also now started doing what we call aggregates, your three-quarter stones and what have you, because this is a very key product in roads, dams, and so on. It's a key product. Even when you are building your house, you are going to find you need those aggregates. So that's why we are in those products. And it's a model, it's a kind of a one-stop shop kind of model, which says when you come to us, we are giving you your superstructure inputs. When you are done with us, you are just going to be looking at the smaller bits and pieces, your plumbing, your electricals and so on. But pretty much your superstructure, we want to be able to manufacture that. And that's where we get our competitive advantage from, because we know it's going to be very difficult for anyone to import those superstructure inputs from outside the territories we operate in. We are solution driven. And what does that mean? It means the products that we bring into the marketplace are driven by the marketplace itself. We don't go into markets and say, we make clay bricks, therefore buy clay bricks or perish. No, we say these markets require infrastructure inputs. What makes sense? What is the local material base available? What is the skill set available? And therefore, what is the best product we can use? So you find in some markets, clay bricks or clay products are going to be dominant. You find in some markets, it's cement or concrete-based products which are going to be popular. And therefore, we will tailor-make our product range to reflect whatever is happening there.
The real estate and property development sector has room for greater growth in the near term. It is up to central government to make housing commercially viable. The right policies should open up the market in a manner where capital sees reason for long-term investment and consumers are viable for sustainable financing products too. All these factors should become clear within the next 12 months.